Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
But tell me, Eddie, is that a rabbit in your pocket or you're just happy to see me?
Hello, everyone. Hold on, let me start my camera. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Sorry, I was finishing up getting ready because after this stream, I get to change my top and continue in my reading of The Hobbit. I'm going to try to get at least 2 chapters done tonight. We'll see. I'm going to start on the earlier side, about 9 p.m., which gives us a little over an hour to regale you all with our own personal subjective top 10 lists from 1994. And again, for those who are new to these streams, these aren't like objectively necessarily the top 10 films of 1994. These are our own personal lists. So essentially, the movies themselves could be objectively bad, okay, so, or whatever. It's just objectively they are pleasing to us. And yes, there is a cat. That is Calvin. But while I am finishing up the post to tweet out that we are live, Stieg, let everybody know where they can find you and all that fun stuff.
You won't find me until next year, because this is my last stream of the year that I know of. So.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna go poof.
he's gonna like return to his hobbit hole.
Yeah.
And not emerge until
the
new year.
I actually live in a hobbit hole. Kind of.
So, yeah, I'm going to welcome everyone. I'm going to say hello to the chat. And for those who missed like yesterday's reading stream, I do see all your comments. I'm not saying anyone said anything, but I just want to let you all know that I do see all your comments. It's just I'm sitting back in a way so that I can't exactly basically respond to every one of them. Plus, I tend not to try to break from the reading.
Yeah.
So I do see your comments. I do see who all is watching in the chat. So even if I don't necessarily acknowledge every one of you, I do see you all and appreciate you all tuning in to watch me read The Hobbit. I read chapter 1 yesterday. I'm going to try reading chapters 2 and 3 today because those 2 chapters together equal the number of pages chapter 1 was. So I should be able to get through 2 chapters tonight. But anyway. So from the top, I see Trey. You ready for a lit discussion? Yeah. I dual stream on Kick and Twitch for my gaming streams. At some point, I kind of do want to break down, and because Restream is free if you only have 2 locations, but at some point I want to break down and like subscribe so I get a 3rd location to stream to, and for that I would like to stream to my YouTube live channel so I can like rework on building that up. I had to take a break because life happened, but I would like to return to that. And I think a better way to do that, at least starting out, than some gaming streams people can watch and lurk and listen to. So that's at some point, it'd be like sometime next year. If anything, like early next year, if anything, but that's what I would like to do.
You know what you have to do?
What?
When you get to the bit where the dwarves are setting the table and you have to sing, you also need to juggle plates and cups and stuff.
I already got to that part. It was in the first chapter. I did sing a little bit, but a little too late for that. Already read that part. It's in the first chapter.
You need to get a fake spider too for later that dangles in front of the camera. Liver in Mirkwood.
No. Yes. Yes, it was a pretty big year for Jim Carrey because at least he had 2 films out that year, neither of which made my list, although I do enjoy them both, but I had to narrow it down to 10. And yes, Gravy D says he's well, I'm an idiot. Now, that's your saying, it's not me. Thought this was going to be on Thursday, so you'll just listen.
It's never on Thursday.
Well, I did say it's going to be on Tuesday this week because I'm babysitting Wednesday. So,
if he had said he thought it was Wednesday, I would have given him a pass because that's when we usually stream. But since he said he thought it was Thursday, no, sir, you're a fucking idiot. You only have yourself. To blame. Fuck you.
Yes, rest in peace, Kurt Cobain. Yes, unfortunately, that was the year he committed suicide. He was not that old, and he had a child, so it's very sad. Oh, and also, like you have idiots nowadays that would say that he was how would they put it?
Non-binary.
Yeah, something like that. Just because he like part of the grunge style was to wear skirts and things like that, so they would say that he was like genderqueer and shit like that. I'm like, no, fucker, it's just the style. It was the grunge style back then.
Yeah.
Gaming or what? Yo, good to see you. Jaluk, what is up? Tara Crystal, hello, hello. And yes, and I did see your comment. Yeah, gaming. Yeah, that is Calvin. That is Calvin. He is passed out. He's taken over that part of my bed.
The side with the coke.
Yes.
Is that why he's passed out?
Yeah. No, he got high on catnip, and then he got into my coke. So,
Yeah.
and this is the reading stream. I have it set up for 9 p.m. Eastern. So thank you, Soul Assassin. Good to see you. I am acknowledging people in the chat, Gnomski. Like I said, for the reading stream, I do see everyone that's commenting. I'm just not able to exactly interact with everyone because I'm reading so many chapters as a stream to get like basically to get through the Hobbits for you guys, and maybe move on to Lord of the Rings. So
You should do the Wheel of Time at one point, because in the final book, one of the chapters are almost 300 pages.
yes, oh my god. But anyways,
Yes.
and if you're into wrestling, Gnomski, like if you're the original tribal chief, like that's how you acknowledge them. Yeah, so I acknowledge you that way. More singing. I don't recall any singing in these chapters that I'm going to be reading. Orange Hat listening and lurking. Yeah, good to see you. Corey Cochran, hello. David, what is up? And you are Parasite on Twitch, if I remember correctly. Give my regards to King Tut. You know it. You know it. Give my regards to King Tut, asshole. What up, Gigawatt? Tara Crystal says Shawshank Redemption, Lion King, The Crow, Four Weddings and the Funeral, True Lies, Stargate, Speed, No Escape, Clerks, The Specialist, The Client, Hudsucker Proxy, Camp Nowhere, It Could Happen to You. 1, 2, 4 of those movies, no, 5 of those movies are on my list. So Pulp Fiction wasn't even on my list either, Tara Crystal. So no, wait, didn't even make my list. Even though I don't recall, did it come out in '94, or was it one of those weird ones where it's like it's wasn't really like technically wasn't considered a release until like the following year?
Yes, so some movies have that because they have a limited release in France or something in December, and then it's released in early on everywhere else. So
that's what I'm saying. I don't, because I was going through the list of films released in American films released in 1994, and I do not recall seeing that. Otherwise, I would have added it to my overall list. I'm thinking it was like one of those weird releases.
it was on the list I looked at.
Yeah.
So, but heck, if a movie like that shows up and you pick the wrong year for it, it's not really a biggie because you would have picked it the year before anyway.
Well, regardless, even still, it would not have made my list. I do enjoy the movie, but it would not have made my list.
Yeah, and
yes, I'm reading the chat here, Crystal. Thank you so much.
Be careful that you don't confuse Pulp Fiction with a movie called Gulp Friction. That's not a Tarantino movie at all. So be careful.
You found out the hard way, didn't you? The hard way, didn't you?
I know. I caught it. I give you a 6 out of 10 for that one.
It was good. Shut up. So Gravy says, I knew the stream wasn't going to be on Wednesday because I'm babysitting my niece. Yes. So anyway,
that's not an excuse, Gravy D. You thought it was Thursday. No, it's on you. Stop peddling back. This is on you. I like you and all that, but seriously, fuck you. You fucked up.
Yeah, like there are a few kids movies. Let's see.
I can totally insult the chat today because I'm not going to see them until next year. 2 kids movies on my list, but yeah, there were a lot. There were a lot that year that I had seen, and I know I enjoyed, but unfortunately, as I said, my list is not like this is like the number of movies I've seen that I remember seeing from that year. Then I had to narrow it down to 10. I can tell from all the way that your handwriting is way better than mine.
Yeah, so I'm not going to show my list, but I better see. This is my handwriting.
Yeah, that's better than mine.
Anyway, so hello, Conroy. My kill. did not make my list. So no hate, as I said, it would not have made my list regardless. But anyway, as we normally do, even though Stieg is like, I keep telling Stieg there's always a time when the die will listen to him or love him. He rolls a d20 to see who goes first, and I'll take a look at the 20 time.
Today I'm gonna roll a d6.
Okay.
To see if it helps. So you want 1 to 3 or
4 to 6? 4 to 6.
5. Fuck this shit.
All right. Okay.
These are Witcher dice too. I'm gonna rename them Bitcher dice.
Hey, just because your dice like me here does not mean. All right.
Well, actually, they didn't like you on the dwarf thing, on D&D. When the dwarf wrestled slammed your face into the floor.
Yes, like that's when you fucking rolled high. Anyway, not when I was fighting the gnolls. No, I pretty much dispatched them, but every
then
time.
the dwarf happened.
Yes, and the dwarf happened. But anyway, so my number 10 is probably a little known film because it's from New Zealand, but I enjoy it just because I love true crime. Like I'm the one that watches like true crime documentaries and series and things like that. And whenever there's a movie or documentary on like an actual true crime event, I tend to watch it. And this one I do enjoy. Yes, it's about a murder. So when I say it's a quaint little film, it's a little bit. But like in terms of the production, it's a quaint little film. But it involves the real life premeditated killing and like basically studies the relationship between like these two teenage girls who develop like this almost obsessive. When I say obsessive, I don't mean like romantic. I mean, but like basically they like just like they want to like be together and things like that because of their mental states essentially. And it's Kate Winslet plays one of the teenage girls, and the other teenage girl is played by Melanie Lynskey, who's probably like not as well known as Kate Winslet, but they play the two teenage girls who develop that like relationship of sorts, that unstable relationship, and it culminates in the premeditated murder of one of the girls' mother. And it's based on an actual event. Like I said, it's a film from New Zealand. It's actually directed by Peter Jackson and written by both he and his partner Fran Walsh. So regardless of how I feel about Peter Jackson when it comes to Lord of the Rings and things like that, in terms of whom to thank for Lord of the Rings, actually, I enjoy the movie. It's called, I don't want to say too much, obviously, because it's that simple of a plot. It pretty much is that simple of a plot, but it's based on like true events.
It's a very good movie. I've seen it. It's a very good crime movie, crime drama movie, maybe.
Yeah, it's more like a crime drama because it's very psychological.
Yeah,
more like
both actresses did a tremendous job.
Yeah, well, I gotta shut my door because my cat just left, and he likes to leave it open. Okay, what I appreciate about it is again, based on true events, one girl is from an affluent family, and the other girl is from like a more the one girl is like her home life is not good. Like she does not have a good relationship with her mother, and it gets to a point where the girls think, hey, the only way we can actually be together essentially is if we kill your mom. So that was their mentality. Hey, fuck Norris and memes of destruction.
The murder method is fucked up too.
Yeah, so I'm not going to say how they do it. That is going to be if you watch the movie, which I would recommend at least one watch. Even if you don't not into watching like crime dramas or anything like that, it is a very good movie. Like I said, it's directed by Peter Jackson. It's also written by him and Fran Walsh. So it's one of those movies where it's like you should check it out at least once. And it kind of goes under the radar because people think about like the bigger movies that came out in 1994, since it was a more international film, but it is worth the watch. It's called Heavenly Creatures. So that is my number 10.
Well, my number 10 is Actually, a movie I think both you and especially Trey would like. It's called The Getaway. I think it's a remake, actually. It stars Alec Baldwin and Kim Basinger. And it also has James Woods in it, and Michael Madsen, and Jennifer Tilly. Basically, a guy's hired to break the son of I think it was the son of a drug lord or whatever, mobster, out of jail, and get him away.
Mm-hmm.
But it turns out he was hired to get him out so that they could kill him.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, so that's it plays like a Tarantino movie, really. And Michael Madsen's character starts to chase Kim Basinger and Alec Baldwin around.
yeah. He was pretty. Michael Madsen was. I don't want to say he was like big in the '90s, but like his name was most everywhere
Yeah,
in films.
he did a lot of work in the '90s.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Okay, you have
so
seen it, Trey? Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm.
kind of gritty crime action movie. I laughed my ass off when Michael Madsen banged Jennifer Tilly while her husband was tied up in the next room to a chair, snarling with rage.
Yeah.
And
I've not seen. I mainly saw him like in Tarantino films. So, okay,
yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah, basically, she wanted it, so she hit on Michael Madsen. So she basically cheated on him, on the guy while he was tied up in I think it was the bathroom. Hysterical scene, but kind of dark humor, gritty action crime thing, very much like a Tarantino movie. And
Okay.
Alec Baldwin's good in it too. Credit where credit's due. Um,
Like Alec Baldwin, I don't think is necessarily the best actor, but he does have talent, and he was good when he was younger.
yeah, but yeah, this is like it's not like a movie you have to watch. I mean, you can live long and prosper in the land by not having seen this one. But it's if you don't have anything else to do, it's certainly a good one to just watch.
The Getaway. Okay.
Yeah.
All
Get
right.
to see Kim Basinger in the nude too.
Well, I think that's a selling point for most of the guys, or
Yeah.
if not all, most of the guys in the chat.
Yeah.
So. All right. So The Getaway. Okay.
Yeah.
So now we're on our number 9s.
Yeah, my number 9. I think you have this on your list too.
Mhm.
It's True Lies.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, it's not number 1, is it?
No.
No. Okay. Well, we can share it, right?
Okay.
Basically, this is James Cameron's Bond movie in a way.
Mhm. Yeah.
Starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, who does a surprisingly good job as a special agent or a secret agent.
Well, I'd say more secret agent because his own family doesn't even know
Yeah.
what his actual work is. So
Yeah. Fun premise is almost like a TV show idea, to be honest.
Yes.
Bill Paxton probably steals the show.
He was a very good actor. I'm like sad that he died when he did.
Yeah, I actually found out a bit how he died. I saw Michael Bean talk about it.
Yeah.
Might be a lawsuit happening. But good cast. Jamie Lee Curtis is annoying as hell. They're yelling and screaming constantly, like she always is. But her acting's fine. Great supporting cast. Charlton Heston, I think, plays his boss.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, you can yap about the rest. Oh, Tia Carrera's in it.
Well, there really wouldn't have been much that like I would talk about other than what you said. So because that's my number 7.
Yeah, full of.
I just I'd love even though Jamie Lee Curtis is like pretty much proved to be an idiot recently, I did love her performance in this movie and the chemistry she had with Arnold Schwarzenegger. So it's like there's still kind of like not bickering, but you could still tell they're a married couple based on their interactions. They did have good chemistry. But I agree with you. It's still Bill Paxton. Pretty much steals whatever scene he's in.
I have some cool trivia for you. I saw an interview with Jamie Lee Curtis about the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And basically the movie poster had Schwarzenegger all over it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That was the original poster. But Arnold Schwarzenegger contacted James Cameron and said, Jamie Lee Curtis has just as many scenes in this movie as I have, and she's just as a main character as I am as well. So he insisted that they put Jamie Lee Curtis and Arnold Schwarzenegger's names in the same size on the poster. And Jamie Lee Curtis said that she had never seen any actor do that before, ever, because it's all about being seen, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, there is some are more narcissistic than others, but there is a level of narcissism in Hollywood. You need to be seen. So
yeah, and she said she wasn't even sure if she would have done the same the other way. But Arnold had actually done it by himself. Nobody told him to do it. He contacted Cameron and everyone and made it happen.
Yeah, I will give him that credit. Like, he has said some stupid things recently, but for the most part, he does seem like a decent guy. So I can see him doing that. And that's very good. So the fact that he did it himself and wasn't coaxed or coerced by any his manager or anything, he didn't. Yeah. So,
and Jamie Lee Curtis said that since he was the bigger name and all that too, she wouldn't even have complained if it was Schwarzenegger and then it was at the bottom Jamie Lee Curtis and whoever else, because that would have been normal. But he actually just did that.
No, not too many actors would do that.
No,
definitely not nowadays. Definitely not nowadays. There was still a level of integrity in Hollywood back then. Now, I'd say it's almost dead.
Well, she did say that nobody would have done it back then either.
I know that, but at the same time, it's there was still that I could that's just her saying that. But there was talent back then where I could see others doing that, like Keanu doing something like that. I could see him doing that.
Yeah.
But now definitely no. Like Keanu maybe would still do it because he does seem like a genuinely nice guy.
Yeah.
And incredibly humble. But anyone else, no.
If it happens today, it would be through coercion.
Yeah. So hey, some Norwegian guy. But yeah. So my number 9. While it is not the best of these movies, I still overall enjoy it, and I did like Fred Ward's performance as the bad guy in it. I think Fred Ward, when given good material or decent material, he did because he's unfortunately passed away, comedy chops, and that is Naked Gun 33 and the Third, The Final Insult. Like I said, it's not the best of the three. I think the best is the first one. Essentially, it kind of went a little bit downhill with each subsequent one. However, I did enjoy Fred Ward's performance. I did like the Zucker brothers, still had their touch, with their humor and everything. So a more often than not, the jokes did land with the humor in this movie. Even though I think it's a step down, I'm not saying it's a big step down or anything like that. I'm just saying just slightly. Of those, the first one would be the best in my opinion, but then it's the third one is still very much enjoyable. And yes, Fred Ward was a great character actor. He played a good comedic bad guy in this film, and there's some memorable parts in this. I think the one that sticks out to me is when Leslie Nielsen, when Frank Drebin is in prison, with the prison humor in those scenes. Well, so those are the parts that stick out to me.
James Earl Jones as well. I mean,
yeah,
that looks like Fred Donahue puking in the tuba.
Yes, I know. the Oscar scene, that one stands out as well.
Yeah.
So
it was just the way he said it. It was just casually. That's just Fred Donahue puking in the tuba. Yeah, because that was Frank Drebin had knocked Phil Donahue out. Yeah.
Yeah. I saw How High a long time ago, so I'd have to rewatch that movie.
Fred Ward is fucking awesome in the Tremors movies.
Oh yeah, like the Tremors movies. I like I said, like, he was like a very good character actor, and like to be a character actor is not a bad thing even in Hollywood. It made you getting roles, but like he was very good because he could go from like one to another, kind of like Christopher Guest. Like he could go from one to another. It's the same actor, but he's playing different characters, and they're all believable. So.
He played a really good kind of an antagonist in Southern Comfort, which I think I had on my list for 81. I know Trey reviewed it. He was one of the supporting casts in that movie. It's basically Predator without the alien, but Cajuns.
Okay.
Yeah, it's awesome.
But yeah, so that is my number 9. Like, if you've seen the other 2 Naked Gun films, and like basically this movie is Frank Drebin has to go undercover, basically to because like this guy's the bad guy played by Fred Ward is going to get broken out of prison, so Frank Drebin has to kind of infiltrate that, so that way he can stop Fred Ward from committing basically the terrorist act he wants to commit at the end of the movie, and that's basically the overall plot. Yeah, Killer McGurk. I think it's like Killer McGurk. And like he was like, it's like the scene where it's like the one guy is like, like prison changes you. It's like, why? I used to be white. So, but then I think like that's the overall plot, and he has to keep this hidden from his wife, played by Priscilla Presley. So she thinks he's having an affair on her and everything. So that's kind of like the misunderstanding. Basically throughout the movie, on top of like what Frank has to do with basically the Zucker brothers humor all throughout. So, but there it is. Yeah, Naked Gun 33 and a third, The Final Insult. That is my number 9.
Anna Nicole Smith is in it too.
Yes. So she's there for a reason.
She is, but she didn't do a bad job, really.
No. I'm saying it's like, I'm like, not going to go into every detail, but yeah, she's in it. She's the love interest of the bad guy. So,
well, she's in it for 2 reasons.
I would say, well, 2 big reasons.
Yeah, and she sticks out.
Hello. Anyway, I'm not going to touch that one.
Yeah, it was kind of a wobbly performance, wasn't it?
Oh, a little bit. Anyway, number 8. I start this one. All right. Again, no matter what you think about like Stephen King, when I say that, I'm not defending him or anything. He is a creep. Overall, his novels he cannot write. However, the movie adaptations tend to be good, at the very least better than his novels. And for 1994, the one that came out that I do enjoy watching. No, not Shawshank Redemption. No, that did not make my list. It is a very good movie, but it did not make my list. I actually like watching The Stand. It was a miniseries on TV back in like the mid 90s when it first aired. Gary Sinise plays the main lead. Molly Ringwald, I don't think she's attractive at all. If you do, more power to you. But she plays basically like another one of the leads and so forth. And if you read the book, basically it follows these different characters as they're making their journey post a apocalypse. Basically, like a disease wipes out most of humanity, and what's left basically kind of in a way forms 2 camps. Essentially, it's very at its core very religious things, basically, because you have on one hand the more nefarious crowd who are gravitated towards Randall Flagg, who is the devil, and basically he's trying to corrupt humanity, the remainder of humanity and everything, basically bring upon hell on earth, essentially. Then you have the other camp that gravitates or is kind of being drawn to a woman called Mother Abigail. She's the devout one. She believes in God, she prays and so forth. She's like an elderly black woman played by was it Cicely Tyson? I can't remember. No, was it Cicely? Anyway, but she plays Abigail Fremantle. All right, so basically it's those kind of 2 camps. like, it's kind of those two camps, and you follow these different characters on their journey from like basically from where they start to where they end up, and basically how they confront Randall Flagg. And I don't want to get there's a lot that happens, so I don't think I'll necessarily give too much away. But I don't want don't want to say too much because if you've not seen it, it's totally believable. It was. I'd say watch the original Stand, even if you're just watching it to compare it to like the newer one. Watch the original. I prefer the original version. I prefer the original version too of the Stand. Like I said, Gary Sinise, yeah, Miguel Ferreira is in it. You have Miguel Ferreira, Gary Sinise, Molly Ringwald, Adam Stork, who say wasn't exactly a big name, but he was also in another TV miniseries I enjoy called The Rough Rider. So he was kind of like a name back in the mid '90s then too. So he's in it as well, and so forth. And the actor, I can't remember his name. Is it Matthew Freeman or something? Something that the actor who played the father in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids is in it as well. He plays a particular character that once you see him, he stands out. Rob Lowe is in it as well. Yeah, Rob Lowe is in it. He plays the deaf and dumb character, and so forth. Which, again, you're following all these different characters. It's not confusing or anything, but you're following all these different characters and the decisions they make, and so forth. Which is like, again, Matt Frewer. Thank you. I knew it began with an F. All right. Matt Frewer, he played the father in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. He plays a character in this one as well that stands out. The actor who plays Randall Flagg, why am I blanking on his name? It's Jamie something. He was in the first few seasons of Law and Order: Criminal Intent. He's another good actor, kind of an underrated actor in my opinion, and he plays Randall Flagg, and he did a very good job as that character. But there it is. So yeah, my number 8 is Stephen King's The Stand from 1994. Jamie Sheridan, thank you. I couldn't remember his last name. I remember the first name was Jamie. But anyway, so that is my number 8, Stephen King's The Stand. It is a mini series, so it's not a short film, by all means, but I think it's kind of worth the watch.
Yeah,
so,
a mini series counts for this.
No, I'm saying it's like, yeah, but I think it's like, I'm like letting people know is like it's not exactly going to be a one and done viewing essentially. So you're going to kind of have to watch it like in multiple sessions. So
yeah.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, him. I'm not going to try to pronounce his name, but I do know who you're talking about. Yeah, like he plays a character in this as well. Like a lot of character actors are in this movie that you might recognize when watching this. So yeah. Yeah, that's my number 8.
Is it my turn?
Yes.
Well, my number 8, I think this might be on your list. I'm probably screwing you up a bit. Interview with the Vampire.
No, it did not make my list.
Really?
No, I mean, I remember enjoying it, but not like I don't think enough for me to go. Oh, I absolutely have to watch it if it's on. So it's okay.
Well,
I'm not really into Christ stories or anything like that. So yeah.
Well, great cast. Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise and Kirsten Dunst. Banderas is in it as well. Kind of like
oh, what's his name? He playing the interviewer.
Oh yeah, Christian Slater.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's almost like a vampire biography movie in a way, told through an interview. Starting in the 1800s, I think, and it goes all the way up to current day.
Yeah. Well, current day for when.
Yeah.
But I think it's the 1800s because Brad Pitt plays Louis. No. Yeah, Louis. Yeah. And Tom Cruise plays Lestat, and Lestat's the one that turns Louis.
Yeah.
So
Anne Rice wanted Julian Sands to play Lestat, but the studio went with Cruise because it was a bigger name.
Yeah. Which Tom Cruise did a good job. I will give him that. Although I think I would have liked to have seen Julian Sands what he could have brought to the role.
Yeah, I think he would have been better actually. But costume drama movie with vampires. I guess very good acting, a very good story. I've never read the books though.
Yeah, I wouldn't know Assassin. I never read the books. Even though Bram Stoker was the first one that brought sexuality to Dracula, and basically like the vampire lore, Anne Rice, it was like too much romance, too much of that angle for me. So I was like, I never got into her books.
Yeah. Wasn't that much romance in this though?
No, but her subsequent like stories, I'm like, it's a little too much for me.
Yeah.
So,
but I watched it a few times, and I actually had trouble finding 10 movies for this year.
That I did not have trouble with necessarily. It was narrowing it down. Well, narrowing it down, and and then like putting it in order, essentially.
Yeah. Well, this was when I started. I was very into football. The team I support actually won the Premier League that year, so I was like, woo. Or rather, no, that was next year. My bad. But yeah. Blackburn Rovers. They won the league in 1814. That's 1914, and then 1995, and then nowhere near it ever since.
So,
but anyway, Interview with the Vampire.
Okay. Now, my number 7 is True Lies. So we already kind of talked about that, but you would be the one starting. So we kind of go from yours to number 6.
Yeah. My number 7 is The Lion King. Is that high up on your list?
Yes, pretty high.
I'll let you talk about it since I already fucked over the True Lies.
Okay.
I'm giving you The Lion King since Christmas is coming up.
Thank you. But anyway, okay, so number 6. We'll just go to number 6 because we already we'll be talking about Steve's number 7 when I talk about my number. I'll let you all know it's my number 3, all right?
Yeah.
But my number 6 is a family movie. It's a little bit of a tearjerker, but it ultimately has a happy ending, and that is Angels in the Outfield. I remember watching it a lot when I was younger, so I had to include this one because there was a lot of nostalgia tied to it. As far as the young Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Danny Glover, Christopher Lloyd, Tony Danza, Matthew McConaughey's in it, Neil McDonough, Adrian Brody's, basically people who became bigger names post post 90s are in this film. You would never think it, but it's but if you watch this movie again, you'll notice them. And it's basically, the premise is Joseph Gordon-Levitt's really wanting, his biological father is a deadbeat. Keeps abandoning him, and Levitt's character is when are we going to be a family again? And basically just to be an asshole, essentially. The father's being sarcastic, the deadbeat dad's being sarcastic, but he says, I'd say when the Angels win the pennant, and this is during a time when the Angels were notorious for losing, basically. They never got as far as winning the pennant. So the dad says that, and it's the boy prays a little bit because he really wants to be them to be together as a family. And so literal angels come down to help the Los Angeles Angels baseball team get to the pennant. So, and Christopher Lloyd plays the boss angel, essentially, and in their own ways, they help the pitching, the catching, and things like that. So that way, the Angels all of a sudden become a very good team. Yeah, and he's the only one that can see the Angels. He's the only one that can see the Angels because they are answering him. So he can see them; no one else can. And it all of a sudden, it looks like the Angels have gotten their act together, essentially. Tony Danza plays like the pitcher who's injured. Like he's like something's wrong with him. You don't really know exactly. They don't really go into detail of what's wrong with them, but he's he's like would be the pitcher, but something is like physically is happening to him. But the Angels do like he blew out his arm, but there's something else happening to him that Christopher Lloyd's character alludes to later on in the film. So like it's not just like a blown out arm. There's something else wrong with them that they don't really go into detail on, but they kind of alludes to the fact that it's worse than just a blown out arm. If you I remember the movie correctly, they don't say what it is, but like they can't help but notice it when in the conversation Christopher Lloyd is having with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Yeah, that's pretty much the premise, and I don't want to give the ending away because the whole point of this happening is for the boys, like so he and his like biological father could be a family again. I said, well, it's a tearjerker, but there's also a happy ending. So that is the premise of Angels in the Outfield, and I had to include it because I watched it a lot when I was a kid. So there's a lot of nostalgia to that film.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, I'm saying, but I had to include it, so that's my number 6.
I think it's my turn now because we skipped your 7, right?
Yeah,
So
it's your turn. Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm screwing this up for you as well. I think it's Speed.
Yes, you are. Fucking hell.
Is it like your 1?
Yeah.
Let's just put that in the memory bank until we get to number 1, and I'll let Maura talk about it.
We'll both talk about it. We'll talk
So-
about when we get to my number 1. We'll talk about Speed.
Yeah, I just keep fucking her over.
You keep
I mean-
fucking my list up.
It's 3 so far out of 6.
Yeah. All right, number 5. You start this one. Let's just see. Let's just see.
It's Maverick.
Okay, I do not have that on my list. Okay.
Well, I can safely talk about it. Maverick, the fun Western comedy with Mel Gibson and Jodie Foster, both of which have tremendous chemistry in this movie.
Mhm.
This
I'll
is
give
an
them that.
underrated movie. I actually got to see this in the cinema when it came out, and it was a great cinema experience. The audience were laughing at the same places. It was just
Mhm.
great. Graham Greene was awesome in a supporting role. You got a Lethal Weapon joke in there, where Mel Gibson checks who's behind the mask of a robber, and it's Danny Glover, and they just go nah, because they recognize each other. Just nah.
Yeah.
What's his name? Is it Ben Garner? No, Ben Johnson.
James Garner, you mean?
James Garner.
Yeah,
Ben Garner got eaten by a shark in Jaws. Sorry.
Yeah, I think you mean James Garner because I think he's the one in Maverick.
Yeah, who played Maverick originally, I think, back in the day. On TV, maybe?
Mm-hmm. I never really watched a lot of Westerns. I want to say yes, but don't quote me on that.
Yeah. If anyone haven't watched Maverick, in the chat, go watch it. It's a very underrated Western comedy. There's nothing wrong with it, really. It's fun. Doesn't take itself too seriously. It just works.
So it is one of those movies where it's like if I did not have to narrow my list down to 10, most likely would have made it. But unfortunately, it's I don't even know how many I had on written down.
Also, we are well on track to my prediction of us having at least 5 crossovers today.
2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38, 40 films. I had to narrow down from 40 to 10 that I had seen from 1994.
I had to go from 17 to 10.
I've watched quite a bit of movies, so
this is during my mostly blackout years for movies. So I'm going to be struggling for the next few years. I think the same thing.
Probably.
Fucking school,
So, Yep, he did. They all came out in 1994.
Yeah.
So 3 movies for Jim Carrey came out in 1994.
But anyway,
My-
that was my number 5.
Yes. My number 5, I don't know if this is on your list, Stargate.
It isn't.
Okay.
Here's the thing. I really enjoyed it,
Mhm.
but it's been so long since I watched it, so I don't remember too much at all. So I just couldn't put it on because I couldn't put it on the list because I don't remember too much.
I get that. Yeah, I get. This is one of those movies where it's like I've seen it so often that even though I haven't watched it in a little while, I know. I can literally almost watch the movie in my head. That's how often I've seen it. But basically, I think it's like the movie begins. I think it's like 1920s or 1930s Egypt, basically, and you see this excavation happening. And during the excavation, it's a father who he has his daughter with them, and he's the lead of this excavation. And during it, something is found. They have no idea what it is, and what we end up finding out to be called a Stargate, basically a portal, which would become a portal basically to another dimension of sorts, basically. But they can't figure out how to get it started, during present day. So they bring in Egyptologist played by James Spader to see if he can figure out what the last symbol would be, because they have like 6 of the 7 that they need. They can figure it out based on this tablet they have, but they can't figure out of these remaining symbols what the 7th one would be. They have yet to figure out how to open it. It's like, yeah, wormhole to another planet. So
you know what? I have a cool bit of trivia that I saw an interview with Michael Biehn recently. You know how Kurt Russell is kind of grumpy in this movie?
Well, yeah, he is.
Yeah, it's a leftover from Tombstone. He wasn't quite able to shake off his white earth.
I think it worked for his character because he plays a colonel.
Yeah.
And colonels tend to be no nonsense, so they're going to be a little bit gruffer with their characters, as well as I don't want to say too much, but his character is going through something traumatic when he's brought in to this project. So he has to basically be dealing with his emotional upheaval in his personal life, and he's brought in to head the military side of the Stargate project. So I've seen part of the show. I never really got into it. I probably should go back and actually get invested enough in it to start watching it again.
Stargate 2 is the pilot of the show, really.
Okay. So yeah, I don't. If people haven't seen it, I don't want to reveal the trauma, basically. But it does work with his character. So the gruffness does work with his character, and I like the juxtaposition of his character to James Spader's character, because James Spader's character is he's very he basically really wants to learn about the culture of the planet they've come to, basically, and everything. He's just he wants to learn everything, whereas Kurt Russell's character is I want to get in, look around, and figure out how to get the hell back, basically. And because it's a movie and things can't be that simple. Shit happens, which they're unable to get back because they don't know. Spader doesn't know what the 7 symbols would be. There's nothing there where they enter, so they have to find out what the 7 symbols would be, on top of essentially the big bad, Ra, basically coming down to that civilization, and he has basically an iron hold on the people to the extent where it's the people do not know how to read and write because Ra banned it for reasons. Well, you have to watch the movie to figure out the reasons, basically. So I'm not going to go into that either.
You know what?
Objectively, it's not necessarily the best science fiction film, but I think it's a solid film. I enjoy all the performances, and it was basically the sequel was as Steve pointing out, the start of what became the TV series. So,
you know what was fun in the TV show was early on,
and
Richard Dean Anderson was playing Kurt Russell's character.
Yeah,
and I think it was one of their vehicles or ship or something that had broken down, and the lady looks at Richard Dean Richard Dean Anderson and says, "Can't you MacGyver it?" And he just stared at it and rolled their eyes, and they kept it in the show.
I love that. No, the Raw actor did at least one other film that I know of. If I'm remembering correctly, he did at least one other film I know of, and that's The Crying Game. He really didn't do a lot, but there's at least one other movie I believe he starred in, and that was The Crying Game. You'd have to look it up, because do not quote me on that, but I believe I'm correct. Yes, it was directed by Roland Emmerich, and the man who did the special effects, well, the makeup, everything special effects, he was one of the judges on Sci-Fi Channel's Face Off. And he's very good. He is very good. Okay, thank you, Tara. I was thinking, I remember correctly that at least one other movie. But yeah, like it's a Greek last name, so I'm not going to try to pronounce it. But like he was one of the judges on Face Off when I was watching it. But yeah, so that is my number 5. So we are on to number 4. All right,
which is
I start
my tip.
this. No, I start number 4.
No, I start the even.
No, I start the evens because I won the dice roll.
Yeah, but I fucked you over with Speed.
What was that one?
6. I don't know.
Whatever. Okay, whatever. Well, we'll just
do 4. It's fine.
All right. Is this on your list, Ed Wood?
No.
Okay. Ed Wood. Okay. Again, do not get your history from Hollywood at all. No matter how good the movie is, do not get your history from Hollywood because there is a lot of liberties taken in this film. But if you just watch it as basically like a fun fictional account, of the actual director Ed Wood, then it is a very enjoyable movie. Ed Wood, for those who do not know, he's infamous, more infamous than famous. Basically, he really wanted to break into Hollywood. He thought himself a creative visionary, and we get movies like Plan 9 from Outer Space from him. Basically, so he's not the visionary he likes to think he is, but he's motivated. He has that energy to him, that kind of draws you in, no matter how bad the movies are. Yeah, Johnny Depp delivered, but I think the one that really delivered in this movie whose performance I really very much enjoyed was Martin Landau as Bela Lugosi. Martin Landau nailed it as Bela Lugosi, in my opinion. So because Ed Wood, the real Ed Wood, did use Bela Lugosi in at least two of his films, and one of the films was actually the last footage you would see of Lugosi in a movie. I think that was Bride of the Monster or something like that. I think that was the last footage you would see of Bela Lugosi because he died not long after that, or very shortly after that. And it basically kind of follows Ed Wood's journey as he tries to break into Hollywood. And in each instance, it's we get Plan 9 from Outer Space and Bride of the Monster and so forth. And the colorful cast of characters, literally, that he surrounds himself with. It's pretty much an exaggerated biography of the life of Ed Wood. Sarah Jessica Parker plays his girlfriend / fiance early on, for most of the movie. And the real life counterpart for her character did not like when I say did not like the portrayal. I'm not saying she disliked Sarah Jessica Parker's performance. She very much disliked how she was portrayed in the film. Like I said, don't get your history from Hollywood. So, and some liberties taken with Lugosi's death, at least his funeral, taken with Lugosi's death. But yeah, he really did have issues with Boris Karloff because, well, again, it's a low level of narcissism, because he and Karloff were kind of rivals in a sense with the Universal monster movies. So yeah, this is a little bit of trivia. It doesn't exactly spoil the movie, all right? Because I did say they kind of like touches on Bela Lugosi's death. Hey, Ancient One, good to see you. But in the movie, it makes it seem like no one cared when Lugosi passed away. Like it was kind of like one of those Potter's Field type of funerals, essentially, where it's like only a few people showed up and so forth. Like no one really cared. Well, that's not the case in real life. It's really not the case in real life because people did show up. I'm not saying people, but actors did show up. And
Christopher Lee, I think.
Yeah, Christopher Lee, Vincent Price, Peter Lorre did show up. And there's one point where Peter Lorre is actually looking down on into Lugosi's casket, and I think Vincent Price was standing next to him. And as Laurie's looking down, he leans over to Vincent Price and says, "Do you think we should stake him just in case?" So yeah, like, they make it seem like no one cared, but in reality, people did care. People very much did care when Lugosi passed away, and they attended his funeral. So yeah, pretty much, Ed. Yeah, so it's again, like I said, it's basically an exaggerated, fantastical account of Ed Wood. Watch it more as just an entertaining film, in my opinion, not for any type of history, not for any type of history from it. As much as I love it, as much as I love Tim Burton's style, yeah, don't watch it for the history. It takes liberties. But there it is. That is my number 4, Ed Wood. So.
My turn now?
Yeah.
Well, I have The Shawshank Redemption.
Okay, there you go.
Probably one of the best movies ever made. I don't think people would argue too much against that.
Mm-hmm.
It's perfect in every way. The acting is fantastic. It basically starts I think it's in the 40s. Tim Robbins' character. It's Tim Robbins, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Tim Robbins.
He gets busted for is it tax or embezzlement or something like that?
Something like that. It's kind of like one of those white collar type crimes, but he's
sent
to prison for.
He gets sent to prison for life.
Mm-hmm.
He meets Morgan Freeman, who's also in there. For can't remember what he was in there for, but basically the warden wants to make use of Tim Robbins' skills at scamming, and he has to work for the warden doing crime in prison. Eventually, though, there's it turns into a prison escape, and but it's kind of a movie about friendship, isn't it? And how
because it more focuses on the friendship that forms between Tim Robbins' character and Morgan Freeman's character.
Yeah. Timeless movie.
I don't think so. I didn't see it, Trey, but I had to look it up.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Timeless movie. It fits perfectly where it is. Should never be remade. Also based on a Stephen King novella, I believe. So Stephen King had this and The Stand the same year. That's pretty good. But I don't know. Most people have seen this, so there's not too much to talk about. Mm-hmm. One thing I thought was really cool is as the decades go by, he has a new model of the decade on his wall. So in the 70s or whatever, there's he switches out the old one with Raquel Welch and stuff like that. Nice little touch to show how time passes. But it's a 10 out of 10 movie. Probably not as rewatchable as the other movies we have on the list, but it's, I couldn't not have it. So anyway, Shawshank Redemption.
So he was sent to prison for murder. Okay. It's been a while since I've seen that movie, like Shawshank Redemption. So I just remember, it more focuses on, they are trying to escape the prison, but it more focuses on the friendship that forms between the two.
It has a good ending.
Mm-hmm. Okay, my number 3.
No, it was mine.
That was your number. Okay.
That was mine. I'm supposed to do
your number 4.
3.
Okay, sorry.
Oh, well, it doesn't matter. I have Pulp Fiction.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah. Tarantino's second, is it? Yeah, it's a second movie. Yeah, it made a huge splash when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
Really put Samuel Jackson on the map. It revitalized John Travolta's career. And it's stuffed with a lot of actors Tarantino would later on use in a lot of movies.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pieced up story, goes back and forth a little bit. It has a fucked up Gimp. Who doesn't remember the Gimp? The Gimp was actually played by Trey Courtney, who was in the chat. So we have famous people in there. He played the Gimp when he was 58. But 10 out of 10 movie, superb soundtrack, classic Tarantino, rewatchable as hell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, it is rewatchable. I think of Tarantino's movies, I think like around then, I think I prefer Reservoir Dogs. But yeah. Okay. All right. My number 3 is a Disney animated film.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. The Lion King, which is one of my favorites, pretty much of Disney's animated movies of all time. It pretty much is Hamlet with lions. All right, it pretty much is Hamlet with lions. The Lion King. So, and the voice, with the talents, basically not just the voice talents, but the talents, because like not every one of them were like just solely voice actors, but they were the talents of the time, and they had the charisma to back it up whenever they were delivering the dialogue. So you have James Earl Jones voicing Mufasa, Jeremy Irons voicing Scar, but the voice actor who voiced Pooh does the singing part for Scar. So Jim Cummings is part of the cast as well. He sings. He's the one actually singing "Be Prepared," or at least part of "Be Prepared" in that song. Then you have why am I blanking on that? He's another like 3 named actor, like who was like one of the sons on Home Improvement. But he was like big back in like the early 90s, like the 90s. Did the voice of the young Simba, and then why am I blanking on Jonathan Taylor Thomas? Thank you. He voices the young Simba, because basically Mufasa is the king, like basically king of the jungle, king of the pride. Simba's his son, so Simba's going to take his heir to the throne essentially. And Scar, like I said, it's Hamlet with lions, just kills Mufasa during a stampede of wildebeests. But like this is where like the truly evil part is, basically, is he allows, thank you, Matthew Broderick, I couldn't like blanked on his name. He does voices the older Simba. He allows his nephew to believe that he was the cause of his own father's death. Like that is a level of evil, basically. So, but there it is. Like, you know, it's like so you basically you're following like Simba as he's growing up amongst the pride, and as he grows up in his own pride of sorts, basically, which is like a meerkat and basically a pig. One voiced by Nathan Lane, and I can't remember who voices Pumbaa, the pig. And then and discovering, basically rediscovering who he is, and accepting that he does have to return to the pride to assume the throne. Warthog, yeah, but I can't remember who voices Pumbaa. I can't remember who voices him. Like he was on TV back in the 90s, and I can see his face. But Nathan Lane voices Timon the meerkat. That he forms his own little pride, and then you have Rafiki, who's like the kind of ape is he? I'm like blanking. I don't think he's a baboon. I think he's another ape. Basically, it's another type of ape. It's not a baboon. And Ernie Sambola. Okay, thank you. Was it a baboon? Because I could have sworn there was like another type of ape, because there's one that, like, where you mix them up with baboons, but they're a different name.
Orangutan?
No. But anyway, like he's like the wise mandrill. I thought it was a mandrill. They kind of, the mandrills kind of look like baboons, but they're different. But anyway, like he's kind of like the wise elder who has to knock some sense back into Simba, essentially. So he's, thank you. I was saying he wasn't a baboon. I couldn't remember the name. It was as an ape that looks like a baboon, but it's not. So he's a mandrill. But there it is. Yeah. So I'm not going to say too much. So I'm sure most of you have seen it like before now, because like it was part of our childhood.
You know what would not fly today?
Mm-hmm.
They did an excellent platform video game based on the movie called, The Lion King. Did the official game to it. It's fantastic, but the game over screen, Simba hangs himself.
Yeah.
That would not fly today. He goes up on a chair and hangs himself because it's game over.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that would so not fly today.
Wouldn't. I wouldn't even liked it back then if I was playing it. Like, yeah, that's going to traumatize me.
Yeah. No game over a second time, right? Because potential trauma.
So yeah, it's like, I remember like he called himself a baboon, but I remember looking at his appearance going, no, that's not a baboon. But anyway, that is my number 3, The Lion King. Hamlet with lions.
I'm going to start calling people mandrills.
Yes. Goddamn. Okay, number 2. Okay, it's my turn to start.
Yep.
The Crow.
That's my number 2.
All right, well, we can both talk about it.
Yeah, no.
So, which I'm not going to go too much into detail. I'm going to allow Steve to talk about it, because I did talk about The Crow with Orange Hats, I believe, for one of the singles. And it's Brandon Lee's last film. And then number 2 too. Yeah. His last film, and the premise is it's a vengeance tale. It's very much a vengeance tale. And Brandon Lee owns that character. It's based off of graphic novels. But I cannot picture anyone else playing that role other than Brandon Lee, because he owned that character. You also have the actor who played he was the main bad guy in The Warriors. He plays one of the underlings of sorts of the main bad guy. So he's like one of like the lower bad guys. So he plays in this role as well. And like I said,
David Patrick something.
Yeah,
he's on Twin Peaks.
Yeah,
he's awesome.
Mm-hmm. And he's very good, like slimy character in this one.
The guy can also sing. I shit you not. He is a great singer.
Mm-hmm.
Sings folk songs.
Yeah. So, and it's like it literally is Brandon Lee's last role. So rest in peace, Brandon Lee, because he died tragically during the filming of The Crow in a freak accident. Tony Todd is in this film as well. So rest in peace, Tony Todd, because he recently passed away.
Michael Wincott, who's always solid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's a good number of names in this movie that are on the films that people know, and like I said, the plot itself boils down to a vengeance tale.
Yeah,
and boils down to a vengeance tale, like a supernatural element to it, but it's vengeance.
Yeah. The graphic novel, which came out a few years before, I have a sneaking suspicion it might be a ripoff of the movie called The Wraith with Charlie Sheen. I think I had Trey watch it recently. It's from 86 or 87. It's a guy coming back after having been kind of killed with his girlfriend. So it's basically The Crow with a car. it's the same thing, and he just kills off the people who killed him earlier. So it's it's basically the supernatural element is the car instead of Halloween stuff. So the Crow does it way better.
Yeah.
But it was curiously similar, and I think Trey pointed it out in his review as well, that it was very similar.
So, would I say it's a blatant ripoff? I probably wouldn't, because I'm not necessarily necessarily defending it, but at the same time, I have seen a lot of films over the decades, from each decade, where it's like there are going to be certain themes that do. Are copied basically, and it's not like basically blatant copying. It's more like these themes have basically transcended decades, so you're going to see them pop up every now and then, and it's going to look like you're copying another.
The plot points were oddly.
Well, then Alien is kind of a copy of another film, basically, because its plot points also can be seen in a movie from the 1960s.
Yeah.
So.
But anyway, it is a 10 out of 10 movie. And I'd say a perfect Halloween movie.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely a perfect Halloween movie. Yeah. So, yeah, and this is what happened. And as Orange pointed out, the actor who was basically fucked up for years after this film, because he's the one who fired the gun. It's basically a freak accident. It was not done on purpose or anything like that, but because he was the one responsible for it, he was messed up for years after this movie.
Yeah, so, unlike Alec Baldwin, who got off scot-free.
Yeah, he got off. Shouldn't have, but yeah, he did. Anyway, so now you're number 2.
Oh, it's a Crow.
Okay, so anything more you want to add to it?
No.
I don't want to try really necessarily speed things up, but I'm going to have to jump off of the reading stream.
Yeah, no. I can do my number 1, though.
Yeah, yep.
It's Leon the Professional.
Okay.
Starring Jean Reno, Natalie Portman, and Gary Oldman, all of which probably do an 11 out of 10 in it.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect performances about a little girl who befriends an assassin. And the assassin is only good at assassinating. I don't think he can even read. But he teaches the girl, he takes care of the girl and teaches her some things. And Gary Oldman's hunting them because he's a corrupt cop. And then we actually find out that he's a cop later in the movie. He also has a drug problem. Really gritty at times, but it's also kind of like a warm story in a way. Warm, tragic story. It's incredibly well written, incredibly well acted, and it's a movie everyone should see, I think, at least once. They just nailed everything with it.
Yeah, unfortunately did not make my list, but like I said, I was narrowing it down from 40 to 10.
Yeah.
So but my number 1 is Speed, and it's a very good action movie. Keanu Reeves, probably one of his best roles, even though he's not necessarily, even when he was younger, the best actor, but one of his best roles, right? And he's pursuing the villain played by Dennis Hopper, who commits terrorist acts, and the Dennis Hopper's character gets away. And now Hopper's character is basically popped up again, and he said he's hidden a bomb somewhere, and he doesn't exactly hide the fact where he's hidden it, basically, but it's up to Keanu Reeves' character to get on the bus, basically. It's like one of those movies where it's I'm pretty sure a lot of people second guess themselves in taking public transportation following the release of this movie, because the bomb is on a bus and Keanu Reeves has to board the bus and tell the driver he cannot go below 55 miles an hour, 55 miles 55 I believe miles an hour or somewhere around there, because if he does, the bomb will go off. So basically this bus cannot stop. It's while they figure out how to disarm the bomb so the passengers, so everyone does not die. Yeah, basically, it made Keanu Reeves. This is what launched Keanu Reeves as, like, I think, as an action star. Basically, was this movie?
Stardom period.
Yeah, and so
This
and like
was-
Sandra
and
Bullock,
Sam-
is like one. Yeah.
Sandra Bullock too. Both of
Yeah,
them.
it was one of the passengers
boom.
on the passengers on the bus, and she ultimately has to take over driving the bus because one of those freak occurrences during the ride, this guy who thinks Keanu Reeves is boarded the bus to take him to prison because like he's like, you know, he's thinking like he's going to be arrested. He pulls out a gun, which ends up getting fired accidentally in the struggle, hitting the bus driver. And I love that moment. Like, it literally stands out where like the bus driver, he's shot, he's wounded, but he still has his foot on the gas pedal because he cannot go below like 55 miles an hour. And Sandra Bullock is trying to get him to like get his foot off the gas, to put his foot on the brake so they could like help him. And Reeves is like, if you slow down, this bus will explode. And like he shouts, and everyone just shuts up, basically.
Also
like
a massive plot.
Hmm?
It's also a massive plot hole because for most of the movie they have a woman driver and it ends well.
Oh, shut up.
That never happens.
But like, you know, like basically, so Reeves has to like he handcuffs like, you know, the guy who like, you know, accidentally shot the bus driver, you know, to keep him like sitting down, basically. But like ultimately, like, that's pretty much the plot for most of the movie. Is like they're trying. You have the other agents trying to find where Dennis Hopper's character is, and you have Reeves on the bus trying to make sure that no one dies on the bus and like keep the bus traveling at like the certain speed. So that's like literally where the movie comes from: speed, because they have to speed. They can't go slower, otherwise the bus will explode. And there it is. That's the movie.
Well, it's awesome.
It is.
It's
It's a very
pretty
good
much
action.
perfect. Yeah, perfect action movie. And hell, the early '90s had a hell of a lot of good action movies.
Yeah.
I know we always praise the '80s, but heck, I mean, I'd say the '80s up until '95,
Mm-hmm.
probably the heyday for memorable action movies.
And Hopper was a good villain. I have like, you know, it's like he's like
Hell yeah.
he's not like overtly crazy. He's like subtly crazy, but he does it so fucking well. He's like pop quiz hot shot, and like he's dropping these little hints, like how he's like able to watch them and so forth. Like you tell that Wildcats, is, you know, like he refers to, like, you know, he calls Sandra Bullock Wildcat, and like Reeves figures out, oh shit, something about that. So, but it's
Plus,
very good.
He
Oh,
looks
shit.
evil.
Well, yeah, but he looks evil. Like, Dennis Hopper is like, but he plays evil very well. I think like Dennis Hopper was, you know, nice guy in real life, but he plays evil, like bad guys so well.
Yeah, kind of like Jack Nicholson. It just looks evil.
Well, Jack Nicholson, I think, to an extent, when he was younger, was actually batshit crazy. But yeah, he just looks evil. But he's actually, like, you know, can be a nice guy. Same with Jack Palance. Looks evil. Nice guy. So, yeah, and Jeff Daniels also did Dumb and Dumber that year. So he had 2 movies out that year. He had Dumb and Dumber, at least, and Speed. So yeah, I don't bother with Speed 2. I just stick with the first movie. But yeah, but there it is. That is my number 1.
Yeah.
So
Well, that was the top 10.
yep, our top 10 films from 1994, and we had quite a few crossovers that screwed things up.
Yeah,
We couldn't go
I
straight
feel
down our list.
I kind of was to blame this time. But it's happened before where you fucked up all my early, my top ones. So.
Should I spoil this, chat? I don't want. If you haven't seen the movie, I don't want to spoil it, because I know I can tell you the answer. I know the answer, but should I spoil this? Well, Terracris already answered him, so yeah. No, he was killed by a bomb. Basically, like they find where they believe, well, where like Dennis Hopper's character lives, and he set a trap for them. And that's how Jeff Daniels' character dies. Like, you know, they accidentally set off a bomb at Hopper's character's home. No, we didn't say The Mask, but someone like did point out that Jim Carrey had 3 movies come out that year: Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, The Mask, and Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah, so actually, Jim Carrey Sandra Bullock and Keanu Reeves kind of catapulted that year
Hmm.
into stardom.
Yeah. So but there it is, and I'm going to do a relatively quick outro chat because in 9 minutes I will be starting. That did not make the lists. Unfortunately, did not make the lists. It, I had narrowed down. But like I said, if there's like a top 15 or whatever, then would have easily made the list. So, but I'm gonna have to do kind of a quick outro so I have time to change into my white blouse for the reading stream that's happening in 8 minutes. So, Stieg, again, let everybody know where they, I guess, cannot find you.
Yeah, well, you'll find me here next year.
Yeah, because this is, I think, like you
Unless
said,
I,
the last stream, unless you're on another one between now and the end of the year.
yeah, unless I, pop on with Teresa or
Mhm.
someone, just,
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, reading stream, ladies and gentlemen. In 8 minutes, I will be continuing the Hobbits. I need to kind of take a nice long swig of water, so my throat's not dry because I'm doing a lot of talking. But I'll be reading at least the next 2 chapters of the Hobbit. So tune in for that in about 7 minutes now. So, ladies and gentlemen, have a good rest of your day or evening wherever you are in the world, and I will see you all. Well,
Merry
actually,
Christmas.
yes. Thursday. No. Yes. No. Yeah, Thursday for an early reading stream. I'm gonna have to do the streams on the earlier reading streams on the earlier side Thursday and Friday because I cannot do my normal streams. So I'll be just doing the reading streams Thursday and Friday. So I'll see you all then. Take care, everyone. Stay safe. And if I don't see you between now and Christmas, Merry Christmas. Peace.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.